week. And yesterday we jumped right in. We took a look back. We looked at Arkansas, the victory over Arkansas at Jerry World. We decided had to break this up into two parts. That game, we had enough to talk about with that game, but a hell of a lot to talk about tonight. We're gonna hit up what the matchup actually looks like, what we expect to happen, what is a must-win game, and why is everybody out there losing their freaking minds? The hype has gone.
It's gone to 11.
It's gone to 11. Yeah. Although, don't you think at some point we need these things to go to 12?
Well, yeah, we go to
fair
12.
Enough. But we go to 12 around here. All right, Alabama comes to town, man. Alabama's here. We're about 72 hours from kick. Is that right? Yeah, something like that. A little less. So, math is hard. What are we going to see this week out of Alabama? They suck, right? Alabama sucks. This is the worst Alabama team we've seen in like 50 years. So we're just going to steamroll them, right? That's what I'm hearing all around the country. No, guess what? Alabama does not suck.
No, they're very similar to what they've been for a while without elite quarterback play right now, right? So, now look, Nick Saban has won titles with quarterback play that wasn't elite, right?
Absolutely.
But, that's not that easy to do in college football anymore, although this year, maybe it's possible. I don't know. I mean, if we've learned anything over the first 5 or 6 weeks, it should be that we don't really know what's going on in college football yet, and won't for a long time.
That's correct. Even no matter what happens this weekend, we won't know what's going to happen in college football in the SEC West for quite a while. So, look, Alabama, obviously they had their quarterback troubles early on in the season, rotating through a couple of different guys. They lost the game to Texas. We all know that. But, man, if you watch them week to week, that is a football team that is getting better, particularly on defense. They're really solid on defense. And they look to me like a typical Alabama defense does. They're big and fast, and they're disciplined. And Max Johnson, our offensive line, our skill guys are going to have a very tall task in front of them. Points are going to be at a premium for this offense. There's a lot of people, throwing out crazy thoughts on their tweets that we have to open it up. We got to air it out. We got to turn Max Johnson loose. Be careful what you ask for, guys. Else you might want to learn who the backup quarterback is and the backup to the backup. Okay? Because these guys, if you hang your quarterback out to dry, too aggressive, too fast, they can hurt you. They can absolutely hurt you. So what do you think we're going to see on Saturday out of the offense? What do you think the approach is going to be in the game for Max and company?
I think it's going to be a lot closer. Boy, we keep saying this, I guess, and I'm sure people might get tired of it, but I think it's going to be a lot closer to the game plan we saw in 2020 out of Kellen Mond. A little more aggressive, just because I think that's, some more aggressive downfield passing suits Max's skill set a little more, plus you're at home. So, I think you can afford to gamble a little bit more in that scenario. But, do I think we're just going to air it out and say we got to score 30 plus 40 points or something to win this game? Like the last time Alabama came to Kyle Field? No, I don't think we will, because I don't think it suits the matchup to play that way. It doesn't give you the best chance to beat this Alabama team that's coming in.
Yeah, so on the flip side of that, I think what you're describing is a lot of ball control, quite a bit of ground and pound, right? First, second down, run the football. Okay, you get a 2 yards and a cloud of dust on first. how about you come back and lean on those guys again and try to make sure that you're in, third and short, 3rd and 4, right? Set Max up for some success so that those guys aren't able to just come tee off on you in 3rd down. Because while I think yards will be at a premium, we do have the skill guys in space to get open if we play it right in the short game. With the tight ends, with guys like Anaya Smith and Evan Stewart that can get open, they can catch the football and pick up first downs in short yardage situations. What you don't want to do is come out and be throwing on first down and end up in 2nd and 10s or having rid 2nd long and put a hell of a lot of pressure on a guy to make plays to sustain drives and end up putting him in a ton of 3rd and long situations. It's just, you don't have to do that in this game. And folks really want to see that, and I get it, but you don't have to, because on the other side of the football, you have an incredibly advantageous matchup that you are going to have to rely on to do its thing on Saturday to put you in the best position to win. And that is defensive line, front 7 of A&M, the way they're playing at a really high level right now against an Alabama line that, man, you and I have been saying it for weeks, even when people were talking them up all off season about how big they were. And, they were the biggest line in the NFL if they were to play in the pros. Yeah, that's fine, but they don't look good. And they still don't look good. They don't look great.
Yeah, they don't look as bad as they have, a few weeks ago, but against Mississippi State, no, they didn't look great, and they're going to need to be a lot better this week. I think this is for sure the toughest test that they've faced. And, they're blocking for a guy that I don't think can work you down the field with his arm, right? They're going to have to, he's really dangerous out of the pocket. He is really dangerous if you give him a bunch of time, and, he can get a little bit off schedule, throwing deep and stuff. But like, if you're laying back and you're able to first you stop the run, right? So that they have to pass, and you can make him read 7 or 8 plus in coverage sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, but let's, to make everybody happy, let's say 7 in coverage, 6 or 7, and really make him, diagnose a defense. He's not there yet. That's not his game right now. So you've got to contain, because I've seen some strange comparisons to KJ Jefferson. I don't think that's necessarily all that fair. I think Milroe's not nearly as big. He's not as much of just a tank as KJ Jefferson, but he's also quicker,
Yes,
more athletic looking as a runner and everything. So he's dangerous. You want to keep that guy in the pocket. I don't know. That's every week, really, right? But
it is more so this time, right? Because this guy he can hurt you when he gets outside.
Yeah.
He absolutely can. He can go 80 on you in a hurry. He did it against Mississippi State. He can certainly do it against top-notch competition. And then if you give him time, he can air it out. His specialty is the deep ball. The guy can absolutely put touch on a deep ball. He's not going to miss very often if the guy gets behind the secondary. So, the good news is, like we said, A&M has the advantage here up front. And I think they're going to consistently put pressure. You may see Bama do some things that they're not used to doing. They may be max protecting for this guy, a lot like what Miami did, keeping the tight ends back, keeping a running back, back there to block before trickling out into the flat. and that's fine. Arkansas did a lot of that, right? But it didn't really seem to matter because our guys were very, very disciplined about when to play their assignment, and when their assignment uh, wasn't there or was staying in, they collapsed on the quarterback as well, while keeping their assignment in check, if that makes sense.
No,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I know everybody wants to say, oh, well, this, where was this against Miami? Where was this against Miami? In a lot of ways, they were trying to do the same thing, but they didn't do it very well.
Right.
Miami kept a lot of guys back in, and what you saw with that was linebackers or edge guys dropping back and just taking care of space just to take care of space. They weren't reacting to what they were seeing happen in the backfield and putting that additional pressure on the quarterback against Miami. So collectively, that unit seems to be playing faster, playing smarter, playing more aggressive because they're just more comfortable with what they're doing. Yes, there have been some adjustments, particularly I think, you've spent more time studying this than I have on the back end, maybe in how we're approaching coverage, but I've seen a difference up front for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's been the biggest difference from Miami to what we've seen the last couple of weeks is just that recognition of what's going on and when to apply pressure and when not to. It's just been better. And you know, like you said, squeezing the pocket. I think that is just incredibly important this week. You cannot over pursue this guy. Um, yeah, we looked really good squeezing the pocket against KJ Jefferson, a guy who's not as quick, you know. So and who's also, because he is a lot more experienced
Mm.
in the passing game, is more apt to hang in there a couple of extra beats trying to let something develop downfield, right? And I don't think Milrow is, he's not quite there. So he's quicker and he's going to bail faster. So you don't have as much time to really just like squeeze from all sides. So you just have to be very careful and very disciplined that you don't overrun that guy, because that's when he hurts you 20 chunk plays scrambling out of the pocket.
Yeah, I think this is a massive game for Edger and Cooper and Torian and containing on the edge. Yeah, long enough to let those guys, the big guys up front, do their thing. And like you said, collapse. He is going to bail quick. I think they're gonna look for a lot of ways to get him out of that pocket and to get him into that space, and maybe let him make some of those decisions. Hell, they may just be like, "Hey, dude, this is the week you're going to run for 200 yards this week, right?" And the pass will come from that. Who knows? They're gonna. I think Saban is definitely worried about this game. I think he does see it as the toughest test yet for this kid at the quarterback position. And so it'll be interesting to see how he deals with that. What do they cook up to try to alleviate some of that pressure? It doesn't hurt that it's in our house, and that place is going to be absolutely lit up by the time kickoff rolls around, because people are freaking out about this game.
Yeah, they are.
They really are. But again, people, we're going to start to talk about expectations. Okay. Be ready for metal on metal for 4 quarters and an absolute slugfest for this game. It'd be shocking if it's anything other than that. And Casey's just cranking on that keyboard. Have you ever heard anybody type that loud?
Sorry.
Incredible. God.
Apologies.
Bad customer service rep over there. So,
I'm
all
sorry,
right.
I didn't get that.
One thing that we previewed, and we've heard this from a million people, either on Twitter or from a bunch of the podcasters and talking heads, and really for both sides, that this is a must-win game. Must win. And if you don't win it, I think you even said it best the other day, that this is somehow a referendum on the next 10 years of these programs, right? Like whoever loses this is just doomed to catastrophe and failure. Might as well get rid of your coach. You might as well just burn it all to the ground and just rebuild from nothing. Because that's all you're going to have on Saturday. If you lose this game, you're going to have nothing. And man, what a load of crap that is. Is it a big game?
Huge.
Is it? Huge. The victor goes the spoils. But is it a must win? Tell me, Casey. Is it a must win?
Well, again, the question: what's a must win?
What is that? What does that even mean?
And I think the point you and I have been trying to make for a while, we said it after the Miami game, is just let the season play out. Stop freaking out, right? And the irony of all this is that we were hearing similar rhetoric from Aggies before the Miami game, right? Like that one, it was a must win, and then you freaked out when we lost it, and there was a subset of Aggies that were like, well, that's his UCLA game, and they're ready to blow it up immediately. And now here we are, just a few weeks later, and those same people are now building up this game in a similar fashion, right? And that is our message: is just let the season play out. It is a huge game. When you tease this in our last show, you really brought up a particular response to our tweet, one of our tweets, right? They're just saying, the whole point of this was that we would build up enough talent so that we would be able to strike when Alabama showed any weakness and all this stuff. And to be fair, there were more reasonable responses that we could discuss and have like an actual nuanced discussion. Fine. But some of them were like that, where you're just like, or what exactly? Like, be specific. Oh, this is our chance. Yeah. Or what? What are you going to do? What does it supposedly mean to lose this game? Like, I want to win it as much as any other Aggie out there, but a must win? How? Like, I'm tired of the way we talk about these games in this manner, right? Win it. Awesome. Can't wait. That would be awesome. We would control our own destiny in the West. I want to win the West finally. I want to make it to Atlanta finally. You have to win this game if you want to control your own destiny in that manner, right? And somewhat, if you want to make the playoff, right? If you lose, you're out of the playoff for the rest of the year. If you win, you still need help, but whatever. Awesome. You win. Now what? Now you got to go play in Knoxville. How are you going to feel if you win this one and lose that one? How are you going to feel if you win this one and then win in Knoxville and then lose to Ole Miss? Right?
It's a must win. That Ole Miss game, Ole Miss game's a must win.
Now the Ole Miss
or what? To your point, or what? Right?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
My biggest beef with this is here's what people mean, right? Here's what they mean. It's a must win. And if we don't win, I'm done. I'm done with this coaching staff.
Liar.
I'm done with this roster. I'm done with the whole thing. And it's time to start over. And they don't really hear what they just said in their own head. They don't understand because the expectation level is now here, right? This is almost a pick'em game. Like in the last several years, we've been double-digit underdogs to these dudes. This is almost a pick'em game. Why is that? Casey, why is this a pick'em game? Why?
Well, because of exactly what our angry Twitter reply said. The whole, this past 6 years, what have we been building to? We've been trying to build a roster that can go in to this game and be a pick'em, where you don't need a miracle now to win this game, right?
Right.
You've got to play well. You need your stars to show up. You need your guys to play the best game they've played all season. But that's kind of all you need. You don't need a miracle. Your roster, the best 12 or best 22 that you can put out there on Saturday is pretty close to the best 22 that they can put out there. And that's why the game is almost a pick 'em. So
And
that's where we're at.
That's why you went out and paid a hell of a lot of money over a very long time to a guy who recruits top 5 recruiting classes and who's done it more than once. Okay. He's done it more than once. He knows what it takes, and he builds a program a certain way. All right. He's not going to old miss you. He's not going to old miss you. All right. And we can talk about what the hell that means. All right. He's building up something that can put you in a position to do this. And so people who say, well, it's all about getting to this point, and if it doesn't happen, it's a failure. No, it's not a failure. You've put yourself right on the doorstep. But guess what? You're still playing a top 3 roster in all of college football and the greatest coach of all time, a dynasty. All right. That's what you're trying to get over the hump of. That's really hard to do. So to come in, even at this point, and say, well, if it doesn't happen, I'm done. And it's time to get rid of the guy who built it all the way to that point is the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest narrative going. It's absolutely ridiculous to say something like that the first weekend in October. All right. When you're sitting there 2-0 in the SEC West, and even if you lose this game to an elite opponent, you still have a ton of opportunity ahead of you. You're still recruiting lights out. You're building this thing up a class at a time. Your emerging superstar quarterback is sitting over there with a broken foot. Okay. A centerpiece of what this thing was. Like, people just lose their effing minds. And if we win this game, they're going to lose their effing minds the week after, and the week after, and the week after. And they say, well, we haven't done it. The hell we haven't. The hell we haven't done it. And the hell Jimbo hasn't done it. People forget we have beaten Alabama. We've beaten LSU. We've done the things to get into the college football playoff. Yeah, we got screwed out of it. That's fine. We all know it. We saw what Notre Dame did. But don't act like that the football coach and the staff haven't achieved the things that we want them to achieve. Yeah, there's still things left on that list. And I guarantee you, if you just shut up and enjoy this ride, those things are going to happen. They're going to happen. Just sit back and enjoy it, for God's sakes. Because I'll tell you this fan base, the way they act from week to week, they actually make me not enjoy this ride. They make me not enjoy it. Like, week to week, man, it's rough. College football, dude. You only get so many of these. We're almost halfway through the season, and some of you haven't enjoyed a second of it. Not any of it. You just live in misery. Stop living in misery. Okay? Go beat the hell out of Bama. Go enjoy that. Okay? But some of you won't. Even if you win, you're not going to enjoy it.
That's the worst part of it is some of you are going to bitch about how we do win it if we do win. That's just, so yeah. And like we said, that's the origin of the name of the show is is just, it's you guys and how you react to every single thing that happens in A&M football. And look, what you said would be the dumbest thing we've ever done to blow it up. I agree. We could probably, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend or the rest of the season or anything else, right? We might have an opportunity here in a few weeks to be talking about what we should do about Jimbo Fisher, right? Like, it might come to that point where the noise starts to get even louder, and we don't have to go into it now, but no, I agree. That would be the dumbest thing that this fan base ever does. And we would deserve everything that happens after it, because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but look, because I hear a lot of, it's after 5 and 7 and everything. Well, he does less with more, right? And a couple years ago, when Sam Pittman was the coach that everyone was talking about, and he was the guy, he does more with less, and look what they're paying him. See, you can do more with less for less and pay him less money. Who cares? Who cares? We're talking about cost per win and stuff like that. How much are you willing to pay for 15-0? How much? I've said for years the most underpaid coach in college football is Nick Saban. I don't even know what he makes, but it's not enough. It's not enough. 15-0? Like, how much per win are you willing to pay for 15-0? Right? $3 million? Just to have that happen for your team one time? So just the entire concept of looking at it through that lens is just stupid. But furthermore, the whole idea of I want a coach that does more with less. No, you don't. You want a coach that does more with more, because that's the only thing left to do to get us where we want to go. I want to win titles. The only way to do that is to do more with more. So fine. Maybe Jimbo, over the course of his time here, he does do less with more. And maybe he does have to get lucky and have an elite quarterback for some magical season to finally get over the hump. So what? What is the other option? Because this thing where you do more with less and win a title is a complete and utter fantasy. It will never, ever happen. I've seen for the last couple of seasons, well, wouldn't you like to see what insert some coach from some, I don't know, FCS school or whatever could do with this talent? Wouldn't you like to see that? No, I wouldn't. I want to see the guy assemble the talent, because that's the only way you'll ever win a title. Ever. Especially with the way the college football playoff is expanding and going. So you want to start getting in that cycle of rolling the dice and hoping you find an Urban Meyer out of Utah or something like that, and he's your guy that builds a dynasty or something and wins you multiple titles. And every 5 years you fire him and pay a huge buyout and try the next guy and keep rolling the dice. You know what that costs? We've already showed you guys this. It costs at least like $8 or $9 million a year. Nowadays, probably $10 or $11 million a year. Texas has been through it twice.
You're into the double digits. Yep.
You're into the double digits, millions of dollars to do that. That's what it costs. So you found a guy that has finally been able to assemble that roster, and I'm going to ride with that guy. That's who I'm riding with. I don't want to hear about it. So, yes, I believe Sumlin should have been fired after his final season. I don't understand the point of that question, but a commenter's asking it. So, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I believe Sumlin should have been fired at the end of his seat of that season.
Are we going to fire back? 8-4? Are we going to fire back with that or whatever it was?
8-4, however, what records after 6 years, whatever. I don't know.
Absolutely, go for it. Because we can tear that apart. We could spend a whole segment on that.
Well, we really could, and I'm sure the next thing come back from that is, well, the talent's been there. No, it hasn't.
It has not.
This kind of talent has not been here. Not maybe since the late 80s in the Jackie Sherrill, although you can't. It's a different world. We don't have the same types of recruiting tools and stuff that we had then and everything. So I don't know. Late 80s, early 90s, those, I mean, you flooded the NFL with talent in the trenches from some of those
all
eras.
over the field.
But
there it is. There's the Sumlin record after 5 seasons.
Better record after 5 seasons.
Throw that stat in the trash. We're not even going to spend time on it because it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yes,
absolutely.
So anyway,
we're not going to spend time there. It's a non-starter.
No.
All right.
So the point remains: nobody has assembled this kind of roster ever at A&M. You guys don't understand how hard that has been. And I've said, well, NIL. So what? That's the one that really blows my mind. Well, NIL. I mean, we can get anybody in here, better X's and O's guys, and then he'll recruit with NIL. Guess what? Everybody has NIL. Texas, OU, Alabama, Ohio State, Miami, whatever. You're talking about the teams that have been the best in college football history at paying their players. Nobody's ever done it better than those schools. And you think now all of a sudden A&M's going to be better at it than them? How naive is that? It doesn't matter. You still have to have a guy go into their living room and close. And nobody's been able to do it for A&M. So you found the guy. So whatever. I don't know. I said we weren't going to go down a rabbit hole, and there we did. So whatever.
Yeah, a little bit. But look, I mean but it's relevant. It's relevant this week because of the way people are talking about this game.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, the conversation on the other sideline in that fan base is just as ridiculous as what we're hearing. It's absolutely spoiled children is what it is, right? They're having a hard time getting settled at the quarterback position. I think Milroe is their best option. Okay, but it took them a couple of weeks to figure that out. But look, man, there's plenty of, all right, this might be it. It's time to move on. It's run its course, blah, blah, blah. Man, those are people who saw a loss early to a team that was ready to go toe to toe with them from the outset while they were struggling up front and struggling with their quarterback and trying to figure it all out. But, same thing. Alabama fans, let it play out. Let's see what this thing looks like at the end of the season, right? So I don't know, man. It's absurd. The talk around it is just absurd. Some coaching staff's going to be looking for a new gig after this weekend. That's what makes me crazy about it. You've got two incredibly talented teams that when they get out on that field, they're going to be there. It's like we said earlier, metal on metal. One of these quarterbacks is going to have a bad day. He's going to have a worse day than the other one. And that's probably going to be the difference in the game, or some guy, shanks a field goal and another one makes it. Like that. I just don't know. I don't know how to deal with this. I really don't. And, I just think people set themselves up to be in such misery. Now, look, that doesn't mean that we're not going to celebrate the hell out of this thing. Look, back up 2 years ago, we went into this game with Zach Calzada. I thought we were about to get boat race. I thought, I was at a very low point in my fandom. And I'm in this living room screaming and yelling, throwing things, you name it. After that game, I just rode that sucker for what felt like forever. So we turn around and spit the bit, I think 2 weeks later. So anyway, whatever. But enjoy this. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the season.
Yeah.
All right, we do have some.
We're just happy with recruiting trophies,
Yeah, look,
some people want actual titles, so
they want actual titles, so they can hang that on their wall.
We as a fan base are national champions every year at missing the friggin' point. Okay, the point is
fair enough.
I mean, a recruiting trophy. Okay, there's no title that is not preceded by a recruiting trophy. It's never ever happened. So the point is, has not happened ever. It will never happen. The point is, you have to get it first. Someone's got to get it, and it's not easy to get here in College Station. So fine, I want actual titles. Do it. Who's the guy? Who's the guy that's going to come in here and get the recruiting title that you have to have if you want a national championship, and then build out that roster and get them to the point where they can win it. If you've got the guy, let's call him up. I'll write the check. I'll ask all of the donors to write the check. Right?
So many.
And pay the massive buyout and all of that. We are not in any way saying, well, all we want to do is recruit. We just know that there's no scenario ever where you don't recruit a top 3-5 roster in the country and win a title. It's not a thing that happens.
With a number one recruiting class in there.
Right.
Okay. You theoretically could do it. All right. But it hasn't happened.
Right.
Yet. So all those, recruiting doesn't matter. We get a guy in here that knows how to coach. He can overcome talent.
Find me some 3-stars that want to be here. Yeah. I want to go to yell practice and, wear fish spurs and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, that's the kind of team we need. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. We did have a question roll in. How do you think our red zone D is going to stand up to Milrow? I actually don't think the red zone is what I'm worried about. I'm not. I think where I get most worried about Alabama is that dude uncorking a 60, 70-yard bomb on us or taking off and taking it to the house when everything's spread out. I actually think if you can make Alabama grind it out and go all the way down the field 10, 11, 12 plays, I think that's advantage A&M. I don't think that you're going to see a lot of success once they get inside the 20. I think they're going to settle for a lot of field goals, a lot of long field goal attempts. So, I think that's the most likely outcome in this game is that they're going to run the football. They're going to do the best that they can to try to establish that, just like we are. They're going to try to grind it out. They're going to try to wear us down. I don't think, we're going to try to wear them down. And as we said earlier, that's advantage A&M over 4 quarters. If this thing stays close, the same way Auburn and really the same way the Arkansas game trended there for a little while, at least in the first half, eventually our size, experience, and depth up front takes over. So I'm not worried about the red zone. We got any other good questions?
Yeah, just to, I guess put a period on that. I think, I don't know how I feel about the red zone because I don't know how Alabama's going to run the ball. Like you said, if they do start showing the ability to grind out even just 3 or 4 yards a pop, right? That changes everything for Milrow in the red zone. That changes what you can do with him, right? So, if you can't stop the run, then he becomes a lot more dangerous in the red zone. And to that point, I think this is a huge game for McKinley Jackson. Huge.
I've been thinking that all week. That's the one guy I've had circled on this defense all week that it's been kind of quiet. I don't think it's going to be quiet this week. And he may not even show up on the stat sheet, but watch the interior, man. Watch what that guy's able to do. If he can hold his own.
Look, man, the 4th down play early in the Arkansas game, like, holy cow, not enough being made about that play by McKinley Jackson. Like, he makes that. They ran away from him on purpose. They ran off tackle. That dude comes from the middle and chases that down from behind. Like, that's a big effort play that doesn't show up because he's not chasing somebody down from behind 20 yards down the field. That's effort. That is not easy for a guy his size to turn the corner like that, take one step and dive at that guy and have the strength with one hand basically to slow him down enough to get him to, fall down behind the line of scrimmage. So, like, that guy, he's playing at a very high level. He's playing with a very high motor. Is he a senior? He's a senior. A guy recruited by Saban. Like, he wants to go out with this, and so this is a huge game for him.
Absolutely. Good question on the chat about Chris Russell. Chris Russell played a lot against Arkansas. We didn't see Torian York for significant portions of this game. I can't quite remember. Frankly, this was a game both you and I had to catch up on in the second half and roll through pretty fast for the second half. So, some of those details on participation, I'm not as caught up on as I normally would be after watching 2 or 3 times. But I haven't heard anything about Torian York being injured. It could be as simple as, look, we're trying to get a lot of guys a lot of playing time and keep everybody fresh out there too. And there was a lot of rotation. There was a lot of rotation in that game, particularly in the 4th quarter. So, there's some dudes out there that we hadn't seen a lot of, and they were all getting in on the act. Obviously, we know Chris Russell had a huge play in the game, right place, right time. But I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen any hints. I don't know if there's another question on there that you want to tackle, but I'm going to take a little gander through through the source, see if we have any word on
Okay, yeah.
our injury
No,
situation.
I didn't notice anything either. Except that, well, and now we have another commenter. I mean, I was just speculating that, could be that Chris Russell is just elevating his game a little bit as the weeks have gone on this season. I don't know why, um, you wouldn't expect that from a guy that's got way more snaps under his belt than Torian York. But so, if that's the case, great. It could be I don't know that, I mean, have we seen them on the field at the same time? I don't know that.
No,
I
I
mean,
don't think
it
we
could just
have.
be for personnel reasons, like maybe we were running some different alignments or something than we have. But I mean, we did comment early in the game. We saw kind of a bad run fit from Russell, which we've seen a lot of over the last few years. It led to kind of a big third down conversion, but obviously, we know he made a bigger play at the end of the game, and I saw lots of people complimentary of him just in the run game and in general as the game went on. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely haven't heard anything about York being hurt.
I haven't either. Some folks saying that York had a couple of rough plays in that game. He actually did. It was interesting though. They put him in that position where he had an assignment. His assignment didn't come out, and delayed blitz, and he got caught in the wash a few times up the middle. For sure. Now, some of those were. I wouldn't really say it's his fault. I thought he took his lane and. They just tackled him. They just tackled him, and kept him from getting outside and making a play on the quarterback. So,
The other thing to consider is that we've seen, hey, it's awesome that York, as a true freshman, has come in here and mastered the defense enough to have the trust of the coaching staff enough to get so much playing time. When whatever you think of Chris Russell, guy's got a lot of SEC snaps under his belt, right? So that's great for York. We've also seen this play out before, though, with freshman linebackers in the SEC. Like, those guys are not going to handle a full workload for a full season. There's just no way. I don't care how good they are. So,
No, that's a fair point. Absolutely. And back to what I was saying earlier, you need to get some guys out there on that field, and they need to get some reps because we're going to need all of them. And you just look at what's in front of us. I told you this week, holy crap, dude! I forget every week that we play Tennessee, and we do it next weekend after they have a bye. Those guys are just sitting at home getting healthy this week. So no rest.
They don't even have to get on a plane.
No, they have to get on a plane. They're just, they're just out there healing up in the river, man. Getting right. Oh. So, this is going to be a wild ride. These games are massive. They're just getting big. The talk gets big. But man, I am glad that for the first time in a long time, we have a roster that I feel really good about going into these things. And that even losing our starting quarterback for the season, still feel really good just about it, front to back on both sides of the ball where we are. And we do stack up. Anybody.
And speaking of that, I feel like I don't want anyone to misconstrue anything I've said about Max Johnson to be, overly negative. I'm just trying to be, realistic about what it means when a guy like Connor Wegman goes down. I mean, I will say this, I'm not the first to say it at all. I think Saban would love to have Max Johnson as a starting quarterback right now. And more than that, Saban has won national titles with quarterbacks who aren't as good as Max Johnson.
Correct. 100%.
Yeah. So, as far as what your ceiling is with this team, I still think it's really, really high. I just, ultimately, I don't think it's going to get, it's not. I don't think it'll happen this year. Is all I really said. So, you know, but hey,
You mean
I'm
run
still
the table happen?
right. Run the table happen exactly.
I completely agree with you. Even
Yeah.
if we win this game, I'm not changing that tune. I'm
No,
not at all changing
no.
that tune. This is an insanely tough schedule. Oh, the SEC is down. Look,
But on the flip
yeah,
side, I'm also not going to sit here and say if we lose this game, we're just going to lose two more. And that is the point I've been trying to get across when we say let the season play out. Um, Stop making this game out to be more than it is. Because if you lose, how do you feel if you run the table from here on out and you finish 10-2, win a nice bowl game, and you've got Connor Wigman sitting over there getting ready to come lead this team next season? How do you feel then? So again, in that those actions, it's just a point to say, look, calm down, let it play out before we just throw in the towel and be miserable for no reason.
yeah, absolutely. And look, that's not. I think people hear that, and we got quite a few people connected in for this one tonight, and we really appreciate that. Would love to have you guys back, every week. So
For sure.
make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you'll get all the notifications for all the shows as we're about to pop on.
And make sure you're
There
sharing out
are
our stuff
look,
too.
there are scenarios in a game where you come out of that game and you've taken a step back. You have. That can absolutely happen. Now, people say, well, what about Miami? Miami wasn't one of those games. It wasn't one of those games. And somebody brought up Kevin Sumlin. Dude, we have a lot of football games in the Kevin Sumlin era, even in an 8-4 season, which people like to lean on. Okay. Where it became very clear what the trajectory of that program was and what its strengths and weaknesses was going to be. It
Mm-hmm.
became crystal clear. All right. What we see out of this team, even in a loss earlier in the season and now week to week, is that the foundational pieces of this program are very, very strong. We are built like an SEC power. We are getting better in the places where an SEC power needs to excel. And we're stacking talent on top of talent. So even if, we go out and our quarterback has a bad day, gets hit blindside, coughs up a ball, throws a pick six, whatever. But our offensive line is going toe to toe with Bama, and our defensive line is playing lights out. And, our defense is making a ton of plays. And we see things from the football team that make you feel good going forward, even though you lose. That's what we mean. Right? There's a difference. There's a difference between, getting your hide tanned in the trenches and getting beat up all over the place and looking like you just don't even belong. Okay. Because we've been there. We've been there. Now, everybody online, where have you seen that in the Jimbo Fisher era? Where have you seen physically beat up, don't belong on the same field, completely uncompetitive? I can think of one game. If you really want me to be completely honest, I can think of one game. All right. And that's when you were missing about a third of your football team against Florida. All right. In the 5-7 year, where you had a whole bunch of dudes out, a whole bunch of freshmen, and it looked rough, like really rough. Okay. And honestly, if you go back and watch that game, I'm probably blowing that one out of proportion. But we've never in the Jimbo Fisher era had one of those just completely don't even belong. You don't just
No. And that was even after taking over a Kevin Sumlin roster, right?
Yep.
So immediately, the change was there, and this team never just got completely physically pushed around. And they got physically outmatched because they were. But this, we've not had a team here where Jimbo has let these guys just completely, play soft, right? but I think your overall point is just it's so true. And even when we say, well, how are you going to feel if we win and this happens and whatever? How are you going to feel if we win? I mean, there are scenarios for Saturday where the game unfolds in such a way where you win and feel worse about the trajectory of this program. Now, there aren't very many, but they do exist. And there are way more scenarios where you lose and feel really bad, or lose and feel better. But you know what I mean? Like, but that's why we just watch the game. Just let it unfold before you declare that the outcome determines what you need to do for the next 5+ years or whatever, or that Nick Saban needs to just go ahead and retire because the dynasty is over.
Here's something that I actually, the reverse situation here that I've actually been thinking about a lot. I think it was the year after LSU won a national title. Right? Things had not gone well. There were warning signs going off all over the place around that program. It was very clear something culturally had changed. The head coach's behavior had changed. The performance on the field without Joe Burrow was obviously in decline. But things have gotten really, really ugly. And then do we remember what happened at the end of that season with I actually think it was the next year, wasn't it? It was when we went into Baton Rouge and Ed O's head was on a plaque, right? They were ready to get rid of him, right? This was he's gone. There's Jimbo Fisher rumors. I can't remember who was the other coach that they were all just sure was waiting in the wings. It wasn't Urban Meyer. Oh, it was Tom Herman. It was Tom Herman.
Yes.
They were dead set. They were going to hire Tom Herman. They were going to fire Ed O tonight, and Tom Herman is going to be the next coach at LSU. And do you remember what happened? They beat us.
Max Johnson ruined it for them.
And they kept him.
That was the Max Johnson game, right?
Is that the Max Johnson game?
Was it?
I think it was. No, it wasn't Mel Tucker.
No,
it was definitely Tom Herman.
Yeah,
it was Tom Herman. And they kept him. They had like this intervention at halftime up in the suite with the chancellor and all the boosters, and the place is going nuts. And they save Ed O. It was an emotional, overpowering atmosphere, and they set themselves up for misery, right? And it's just like the perfect example of what a fan base unleashed can do if there's not like a sanity check in place. And I was laughing about that this week, and how, just everybody chill. Everybody just chill. Okay. Let it play out. Let the whole thing happen. And then we're all going to sit back and, we'll run our spreadsheets and we'll figure out what the best thing to do is for the program going forward. Oh, man. Anybody else out there got any more good questions? Because if not, it's getting late. And I'm about to call it quits. Anything final thoughts, Casey?
No, sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this the game you're talking about. But man, I've lost all track of it, because they won the title, then he went 5-5 and 6-6. Lost us in 2020 and beat us in 2021, but then that
2020 was the Kellen Mond. That was the was that? No, that wasn't the overtime game. No, that was 2018, because they won the title in 2019. I don't know. It's all running together.
2020,
right, hey,
they lost
look,
here 7-20. Yeah, whatever.
All right. Hey, appreciate everybody dialing in. This is good stuff. This is good chat. Appreciate all the questions coming in. It's fun to talk about these things and enjoy it. So we're out, man. Meltdown Show out.
Bye.
Bye.